Hey, Internets! It's Paul, it's Matt, Dork Lords. We are here talking about Counterpart, Season 2, Episode 8, In From the Cold.
And we have not discussed it before this broadcast.
That's right, we usually have our usual morning chitty chat about what's kind of important about this thing. Oh, right, bring that up. All right, we haven't done that this time. This could go anywhere.
Yeah. Well,
we could end up talking about Look Who's Talking 3. I don't know. Anyway. One thing to mention up front is I have seen online there is a movement to save Counterpart. The theory is that there will not be a season 3. It has not been officially announced, although there was somebody posted on Instagram like a photo with the actress who plays Emily and quoting her as saying that the series had been canceled. Who knows? That's nowhere near official, but basically people are worried that the ratings aren't high enough to warrant a season 3, and that would be a shame because it is a really, really cool show. It's very well done. I have the hope that even if maybe Starz maybe drops the ball on it, that maybe somebody like Netflix or Amazon might pick it up and go, oh, yeah, hey, we've got this quality show. It's already in the works. Let's just throw some money at it and bring it back.
The fact that it started like just a few years ago, as opposed to, say, when Daredevil started, which was quite a bit of, like, many years ago, more like 4 or 5 or 6 years ago, where they didn't have the foresight to make a streaming deal where it wasn't exclusive.
Right.
Hopefully they're like, well, if you make it Starz, that's cool, but if you decide not to make it, we'll still make it.
Yeah. So anyway, fingers crossed that we get some more of this show, because especially in, like, this episode shows the writing and the acting is just first rate, really, really good. So the title, In From the Cold, is a reference to a Jean le Carré novel, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold.
Well, it's a phrase that existed. Maybe it was popularized by that, but the whole idea of coming in from the cold is
but I think
it's a concept that everybody's familiar with.
That's a good question. Did it exist before that novel? Yeah. Maybe it probably did.
I would think
it probably did. That book is about, obviously, spycraft, Cold War. A guy pretends to be defecting into East Berlin. But yes, the idea of coming in from the cold is essentially, a spy who's either been exiled or is deep undercover, kind of turning themselves in or coming back and revealing themselves to control, kind of thing. And so we do have that happen in this episode.
Right.
We've got, Peter, Alpha, and Claire show up at Naya Temple's apartment. Yep. And they're like, it's Shadow.
Yes.
So that's your In From the Cold moment. But then you've also got Emily Prime and Howard Alpha. Emily Prime calls Ian again. I'm like, man, Ian, he keeps screwing her over, and she keeps calling him up. But anyway.
Well, he did help her.
He did, but it's like she assumed he was coming on his own last time, and then in the end,
right,
Howard Alpha gets shot.
Yes.
But she's like, all right.
But he did help.
I'm giving you another chance. Anyway, but she's like, all right, we're ready to turn ourselves in. So that is also an In From the Cold moment. There's an intro part with Baldwin, so we'll bring that up real fast because the rest of this story is broken into kind of 3 parts, but 3 parts plus 1. 4. All right, anyway. So Baldwin, we see, is, she's trying to put her life as an assassin behind her a bit. And so she is spending time in her other's apartment.
Yeah, I thought it was a little gratuitous showing us her past. It's like, we remember it.
Right.
We don't need to see all that extra stuff.
That's true.
It's enough to see her looking at the violin.
The violin. It did occur to me.
And the grave. It's enough.
It occurred to me, and it probably wasn't that intentional, but it flashed through my mind, the idea that she might well have hidden a gun in a violin case on the other side, and that she opens it up and, oh yeah, there is a violin here. All right, well, right. Anyway, I don't know. So she's, thinking of the life that could have been hers. Goes to visit the grave of her other at night, and then Spencer steps out of the shadows, like, you're tough to find. We want you to take out Emily, Alpha, because she's getting her memories back. She has to die tonight. And here's the little cherry on top for you. What'll make you do it? We'll never contact you again if you. Oh, sure, okay. I believe that.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm involved with it, I'm like, okay, right. One thing that was a little odd was the idea that I'm guessing that Indigo, a la Spencer, had people watching the cemetery. Is that how they were like? She'll come here eventually.
Yeah,
you know, but because he does say something like, "Oh, visiting your other's grave, how quaint," or something like that. He throws out a little.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, he is a jerk and is going to die. I feel like Spencer's time on the show is limited.
I feel like it's probably part of his plan.
Right, to commit suicide.
Yeah, or in spreading the virus.
Of course, the virus would not affect him though, because the viruses are designed to affect only the other side.
Presumably, yeah, but
just saying.
Still.
I feel like you're right though. He wouldn't object to committing suicide in the name of the cause.
Yeah, or they killed him in the act of doing it.
Yeah. So Baldwin is given that instruction. We're not sure at that moment whether she's going to carry it out or not. She doesn't. Instead, she leaves a message for Howard Prime. Hey, by the way, Emily's in real trouble. He doesn't listen to it until literally the moment before the assassins break in. I'm not even sure if it was actually helpful. He was up. I think if he hadn't listened to that thing, he still would have done what he did, in other words. So I'm not sure. She tried to help.
Yes.
He just didn't bother to listen to the damn message until it was almost too late. So that's essentially our non storyline that deals with these other three. So there's three storylines. Each one involves one person from each side of the crossing. So you've got Howard Alpha and Emily Prime in one scene. Then you've got Peter Alpha and Claire in another scene. And then you've got Howard Prime and Emily Alpha in another. So it's kind of cool that you've got these three relationships that have all been set up as opposites.
Yes. Starting from last week, Howard Alpha was shot.
Correct. So he has got a gut shot. Emily Prime takes him to the resort area, whatever that is.
Where she went to investigate her other message that she had left behind.
Right. So she goes there and calls Anna, the daughter, who obviously passed away as an infant back on the Alpha side.
I thought she was still born.
Oh, she's still born. Okay, but
I thought
whichever the case, she is not alive and was not. Never really grew up or anything.
But they named her.
They did name her. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Is that maybe she was a few months old, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was like stillborn. So doesn't exist in the Alpha side, exists in the Prime side, and is a doctor. And she delivers medical services to Howard Alpha, and at that point, Emily Prime has to kind of come clean with her daughter. It's like, okay, there's a reason. We're spies.
I knew it.
Yeah, she's like, I knew it. You can see it's a relief to her. Like, oh, you guys weren't just dicks. You were like, okay, yay. She's like, yeah.
Well, she actually didn't realize how much of a dick her mother was, because she goes on to reveal that this little trip that she had taken, that she thought she had taken with her mother, was actually with her mother's other.
Right. And so she still doesn't understand what others are, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a whole. They've still got plenty of secrets from her.
She said,
it's just this particular secret they've revealed.
In revealing that she's a spy, she says, he's better off not knowing things.
Yeah.
That you know as little as possible. They kept it that way.
Yeah. Can I see your gun? Here it is.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I don't know if that was advanced technology or not, but it seemed pretty cool.
It did.
The med tech that she used was like, oh, so you would think that kind of makes sense if it's true. And I don't know, maybe you're out there and you're like, oh yeah, they have this all the time, but she seals up the wound and has all this stuff, and it's like just really portable.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would say that in a world where the flu was such a
Right.
huge deal that medical science might
Right.
improve, whereas cell phones might not. So.
Well, that's what I was thinking with that little readout. Like, wow, you're so close to a cell phone
so
with that thing.
close
It's
to
like,
a cell-
you know, you got like little thin laptops and little
Medical
readouts.
purposes only.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would a consumer want that?
Medical purposes only.
Oh, okay.
So yes, she heals him. Interestingly, too, though, you've got this moment where she's like, "I'm going to give you something for the pain,"
Yes.
and so whatever morphine-ish stuff, and he's on the verge of going like, "My daughter died." He's. I think there's a close moment where she's like, "It's your daughter."
Well, he's
I'm
like,
here.
well,
And he's not in the right state of mind.
No, he's not. He's just like, daughter, why you keep calling, what the father? I'm not your father. I'm not a father or whatever.
Yeah, it was an interesting moment because it somewhat harkens to the other side where Emily Alpha, it's people that have secrets that then are mentally not at their full capacity and are trying to hide said secrets. It gets a little tricky. Like, wait, what do I not remember and what am I trying to keep from you? So I like that. I like the interplay there. She then sings a lullaby to calm him down because the pain is so great. And the lullaby was sung to Howard Alpha
By his mother.
by his mother.
Hard times come again no more.
Hard Times Come Again No More, which you said it was a parlor song.
Yeah, back in the around the time of the Civil War, they would make songs that people could sing in their houses to guests or their family or whatever. This particular song has been sung by many people, like Bob Dylan and James Taylor, and even Dolly Parton had a little bit of it before a song that she called Hard Times. That's something, I forget the title. But anyway, so yeah, it's basically about being more considerate of people that are in poor, not good condition, or who are having
less
hard
fortunate.
times. Yes, hard times come again no more.
And so Howard Prime apparently used to sing that to her. Howard Alpha never got to sing that song.
No,
To
Howard
his
Prime
kid.
sang it to
To Anna.
Anna Prime.
Yeah. Just Anna. Okay. So then it comes this revelation where Anna talks to Emily Prime and says, "Oh yeah, we used to come here. We came here that one time in particular, and it was one of my favorite memories of all time.
No,
and we had a great time."
They went a few times.
They did come a few times. You're right, but I think there was one time in particular that she said, "You were in rehab, and then you suddenly
she was
showed
in
up."
rehab a number of times.
And you suddenly showed up at my door, and we came here, and then we were undercover, and I was Mariah,
Well, she
and
was
you were Belinda.
with an uncle. She was staying with an uncle, and she snuck her out.
Yeah.
And they used the same names that her mother did with.
Yeah, it seemed like
Emily's
Mariah
mother did.
Carey and Belinda Carlisle. They were pretending to be other people, and so so it's happening simultaneously. We're seeing that happen. We're seeing that the realization dawning on Emily Prime that Emily Alpha came over here and hung out with her daughter, and then we're also seeing Emily Alpha remembering that she did that, and then kind of going through the back of a painting and then pulling out a drawing that Anna signed it. Anna made of this visit. Which is also news to Howard Prime, who's hanging out with Emily Alpha at the time and is angry
I love the way
it.
he was like, why would you do that?
Yeah. It seems like a violation to him, right? I mean, he's like, well, that's my daughter and you took her away. Wow. So what we're seeing is some really cool echoes of the Yonics, right, from a couple episodes ago, where both of the Yonics were trying to interact with their other world in the situation where Yonic Alpha loses his son. They put Anna in that place. Goes over to the other side. Oh my God, my son's alive! Yay! It starts. Of course, his family life is crappy, so he starts interacting with other family life, and there's that theory that Yonic has that they can't resist.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that happen in this situation. So Howard Prime is continuing to help Emily Alpha remembers stuff. He sees that she's one of her writing projects that she's trying to get her handwriting. She wrote a code out, and they find a book that helps to transcribe that code, and the code leads to an address. I'm going to guess that address is maybe the Alpha version of the Indigo building. I don't know though for a fact, but there's an address, and they're probably going to go there in the next 2 episodes. But this whole time, this whole episode 2, you're wondering, like, there are little moments where Howard Prime could have maybe said, and by the way, I'm Howard Prime.
Yes.
And he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
And so you wonder his motivation on that. Is it just that, like, I don't want to rock her world right now too much?
And what's curious to me,
like,
I felt like they had established the fact that even though Emily Alpha had never met Howard Prime, that they were communicating.
Right. She wrote notes.
Wrote notes to him
Certainly
saying,
wrote notes.
Protect
Howard Alpha if I get something happens to me. Right. So they did. So that's where I thought maybe the end might be, where he might say, "Okay, yeah, these codes. The reason I know them is because you wrote them to me, and I'm the guy that you wrote to. Remember that?" But he doesn't take that route.
He doesn't know.
And she's so excited at having this code figured out, and like it seems like her world is coming back to her. She basically is like, you don't have to sleep on the couch. They sleep together.
They profess their love to each other first.
Yeah.
You know him; he's not a romantic. They profess their love to each other, and it was the first time since she'd woken up. She even said that he had said that he loved her.
Right. She's like, "Oh, I haven't heard you say that since I had the."
And then he says, "I thought wanted to make sure that you knew who I really was,"
which she doesn't.
Yeah, but it's possible that he might have meant that really being seen by her. So expressing his intelligence and his ability to be a spy, which he'd never really done in a healthy way with her before.
Yeah. So also that she had her full mental capacity back. Maybe he feels like she's kind of got her wits about her again, and she's not just someone who's completely relying on him for information.
I think he felt they connected in a way that he hadn't connected with his wife since before he found out what she was about. And it's never been stated why that led to their breakup. But it may have been because he felt insulted by the fact that she was keeping it from him. And that's why he decided to become more...
Okay, well, let's talk about that. So we do see what appears to be maybe one of those moments of departure that we heard about in the past. And in this situation, you've got both Howards.
And both Emily's.
Right. Decide there. So it's at the part of the timeline where everything is exactly the same. And Emily goes out to go do spy stuff, and she's doing chalk marks on the back of signs as some kind of a, code for meet me at this place or something. And Howard is following her. By the way, good job on Howard not getting seen.
Yes.
He's following a professional spy, and he doesn't get seen. So good on him. He thinks she's having an affair. So he follows her. Instead, he sees her marking stuff on signs. He figures out, she must be a spy. I mean, I think is what he...
Well, it's probably higher up in the echelon than he initially thought or whatever.
And so on the Alpha side, Howard Alpha doesn't do anything with that information. I mean, he just keeps it to himself. He thinks, if I bring this up, I'd just rather not. I'd rather avoid the conflict that would come with me bringing this up and then have it. Whereas the Howard Prime brings it up, and they split up.
Eventually. She said that's the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting, though, is...
Several interesting things.
There's a lot of interesting things. One of them is maybe these two people just were not going to be compatible ever. Just because in the Alpha side, it didn't really work out either. It worked out and they didn't get a divorce, but she's racing off to the other world to go live this other life. And, she was the one who said, don't promote this guy.
Yeah.
And so their relationship wasn't great. Let's put it that way. That the alpha side is not like, oh, it was great on this one side and it was horrible on the other.
It wasn't great, but you could argue, and I would, that the fact that they had a bond that they still found value in. Both of them did. She really missed that aspect of him that would say that he loved her every day.
Okay, all right.
And even though
she's having an affair as well.
She's having an affair, that's true, but, and she said she doesn't like who she became, basically. And I think the unsaid thing is that perhaps keeping those secrets from him was what was causing that to happen. So what we don't know is there was no version of Emily where it's like, I'm going to tell you that I'm doing these things.
Well, except maybe on the other side when Howard Prime says, hey, I followed you and you were making marks. Are you a spy?
No. I'm saying there's no version of either Emily that voluntarily told him before that she was found out. That's what I'm talking about.
My point just being, in both of these scenarios where Howard either decides to confront her or not, both of those relationships still kind of ended up dysfunctional.
Right, but it's,
But you're saying there's another way it could have gone, maybe, where she's like, hey, by the way, I'm a spy. So Howard Prime does not take the opportunity to kind of lay it out. Hey, I'm Howard Prime. I'm not, and because there's a couple of moments even when she says, he mentions this moment. Hey, I followed you, and I saw you marking on the signs.
Yes.
And then she says, like, well, why didn't you confront me about it? He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, he wasn't like, I don't know. He's like, I don't understand this guy.
It
was just I have no idea. It's just sort of like, this guy frustrates me to no end.
Right. That was kind of a nice moment there. He's realizing, that was the guy, and I didn't do. Okay, fine.
I have no idea.
She also then, she's mentioning like, he said, did you ever meet the other Howard? Because she was over on his other side, and she's like, yep. Or I heard about him. She didn't meet him. She heard of him. What do you think of him? Yeah. Well, I heard he was a violent man, and I didn't see the kindness in his face or something like that, like I see in your face or something like that. Which I do see like. It's interesting the way J.K. Simmons portrays the character, because I do see what appears to be like a guy who's not normally nice trying to pretend to look nice. I give J.K. Credit for that.
Oh, yeah.
His
it's a marvelous performance.
A guy who is genuinely caring versus a guy trying to pretend to be caring, and he does a great job at showing the difference there.
Well, perhaps really what's going on is he has to distinguish between his relationship with Prime Emily and the relationship that Howard has.
Alpha had with Emily.
Alpha.
Yeah.
And
right.
So
different
part of it was that he is not used to being, and he can't, be like that. And two, another part of it obviously is that it's kind of a dick move actually to pretend to be somebody else.
Right, hence his outrage at knowing that Emily Alpha went over to whisk his daughter away. When he's like, he doesn't say screw you, but he's like, why would you do that? It's a violation, but he's at the same time doing the same thing. He's got his reasons.
Yes,
he has reasons.
Yeah,
but he is in the process.
Yeah, and the whole thing about them not being intimate in that whole time was even if you're not honest, which you should have been.
Right, it's a line that you definitely shouldn't cross, and he crosses it.
Right.
And so, and then when the assassins come and he takes them out, she sees that and realizes that's not Howard Alpha, that's Howard Prime. She pulls a gun on him, tells him to get out, which he does, I assume. So yeah, obviously he's muscular. He worked out for that Justice League role.
Oh yeah.
But it did make me think of the Howard Prime, who's an assassin, probably has maybe a different workout routine than Howard Alpha. So I can imagine a situation where you've got we're the same guy, but you'd be really easy to tell that they weren't the same guy because one guy's and the other guy's like, I've been binging this show. So yes, that ends with him being kicked out of the house after killing a couple of assassins. We see in the trailer for next week that he goes to Baldwin for help, basically. Like, I need you. So that's on that side of things. On the we've already mentioned a lot that's happened for Howard Alpha and Emily Prime. It ends with her, calling Ian and because after hearing that Emily Alpha had come to the Prime side to hang out with Anna, and how much time she'd spent over here, Howard Alpha decides, you know what? Management keeps wanting me to spy on her, so be it. Yes, I will. I think he's lost a little faith in Emily Alpha being like a pure person or something, and so he's like, "Fine."
Well, the thing that he
talk.
expresses is actually his aspect of. He revealed too that I followed you too, right? I followed Emily. I never mentioned it. I guess I was afraid. He talks about the fear that he felt about really destroying their relationship, right? Because I guess he knew that it was, he didn't know the extent that Emily had said that she didn't want him to be brought up or whatever. So he found that out over there. But he mentions how tired he is of, I think protecting her, and that she's done all this stuff and it doesn't make sense for him to protect her anymore. Now, it almost sounds like he's just like, I'm tired of her.
Yeah, or just tired in general of the whole game. I've been put into prison. I've been shot. I had to kill 2 guys.
Right.
Can I just get off of this ride, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so he's willing to do what management wants. And so, theoretically they're going to get brought in by Ian in the next episode. So that leaves us with the Peter Alpha and Claire hanging out at Indigo's Alpha headquarters. We surmise that maybe Indigo owned this house on both sides. Although it did seem a little weird that they were going to go to a hideout that Indigo knows about, because then they might still get found out. They throw in a little line where Claire's like, "Oh, well, this was a sleeper. This was like a way station for sleepers, but there are no more sleepers coming over, so we're fine."
Yes.
Although there's a big crate of the virus and stuff there, so
behind.
they must have been there recently.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it didn't seem quite as safe as she was making it out, but sure, it's safe. But there's a lot of memories there for her, right? So there's a great line. I can't think of the exact line now, but Peter Alpha says something like, well, because they got the little kid with them, they got little Spencer, and they're hanging out in this house. And he's like, "Oh, we're just like a normal family, living in a creepy house that in some way is similar to a house you grew up in," or something like that. It was just a really nice line. So she sees, she's having visions of her as a little girl hiding away in a little closet.
Well, actually, technically, no.
Well, she was dreaming it.
She was dreaming, actually, that she discovered a younger version of herself. But actually, she was saying she was a younger version of herself who is on the other side. But she's like, "Why did you kill me?"
Oh, I see what you're saying. I got you. Right, okay. So the younger version of Alpha Claire. Okay.
Right. Of course, it's a dream, so she could have been both. I mean,
Yeah. But she's got a lot of issues. She's dealing with this, processing the information that Mira killed her parents. And at the same time, Peter finds USB drive
that
has
apparently
the audio
has
on
the
it.
only file on there.
It did occur to me that when he's listening to that, or checking it out, his intention isn't, "Oh, I wonder if this will give me some really interesting background information about her." I think he's thinking, "Oh, I'll find out what this assassination plot is, or what this plan is." Anyway, but he listens to the thing, finds out, "Oh, yeah, her parents were killed off."
Yeah.
And so there's a really cool series of scenes where Claire is coming to grips with it, right?
Yeah, and Peter is patiently talking to her about it. It's like, it's just sort of.
She keeps saying, "You don't understand."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, I kind of do." Like the bit where she's like, you don't understand. I still love Mira in some ways. He's like, you love her and you hate her, and obviously that's Peter talking about Claire as well.
Yes. Well, yeah. No, the more difficult aspects of it is like, you were indoctrinated.
Yeah.
And he
keeps he's
you
telling
don't
her.
need to what is that line? I wonder where if they.
You want to indoctrinate the truth?
Yeah, you don't need to indoctrinate the truth or something. It was like, I wonder if that existed before, because it's like, really encapsulate well the mindset, where it's like,
And this is where I saw actually on Reddit, and then I kind of backtracked it to confirm it was a real thing. Claire, the actress who plays Claire, actually was into Scientology big time for a long time. Her mom was as well, and she actually was assigned by she gave testimony to the FBI, and so she was assigned to be Tom Cruise's girlfriend apparently by the church. Break it off with whoever you're with now. Change your hair. We wanted to do this, and then you're going to be Tom Cruise's girlfriend.
Nazanin Banyadi.
She's Iranian, I believe.
Okay.
But anyway, so she is now no longer in the Church of Scientology, and she was, I guess, interviewed and said that this role was very cathartic for her because it involves a very similar issue of a person who's indoctrinated, breaking away, and having this tie to this thing, but also, being repulsed by it. And so we see that play out. I think it makes her performance even that much more dramatic.
Yeah, it was really well written because, as she fights back, she's like, "Oh, they'd never do that to Spencer." Like, what? They don't care about individuals, Claire. You know that because they killed your parents.
Yeah.
He didn't say that, but I mean that's all part of it. Or it's like, they don't care about individuals. You said the true world, and all the one they care about is their own world. So the ones that we're a part of, that Spencer and me are a part of, is the other world.
Right. Yeah, she seemed pretty naive when it came to the baby.
Well, it's just the last vestiges of she really was still used to thinking. I thought it was great when she was like, so many different ways in which I've tried to think that this isn't true. That my mother, that my parents
the tape
were killed
was wrong,
by her. Yeah, right. It's like, and then she asked him, "Could it be a test?"
Yeah.
It's like,
point.
No, it's not a test.
It's not a test.
Like in that moment, he could have been like, "Well, maybe."
Yeah, I guess. Good point. Probably a test. Oh, damn it! Did I just backtrack? Oh no! Now you're gonna try to kill me. They then go through the house and they find one of the crates that she had seen the rest of the team using. And they discover that it is, in fact, the plan appears to be. We surmised this a while back, but the idea that Mira intends to close the crossing forever, and then also hit the flu on the other side, so that everything's kind of equal. Like you got the flu, we got the flu, no more crossing. Hey, we're back to squaresies. And so that seems to be the idea, is like, we have to stop this. And so the next thing we see is they show up at Naya Temple's apartment. She doesn't want to see Peter. She's like, "I don't trust anything you say." He's like, "Let me say one thing. Meet Shadow." And so you're like, "Oh, okay then." So they're putting a lot of trust in her. I'll say that. On a spy show, I always get a little suspicious when somebody puts a lot of trust in somebody that's like out, not in the government. They're like hanging out at their place.
I guess.
Because it could be a twist. There could be that moment.
Yeah, it's possible.
Just saying. I don't see Naya as being that character, but we don't know a lot about her background.
We don't, but that'd be so strange.
Okay.
Where we just pulled you out because you're a good investigator. Little did we know that we shouldn't have chosen you at all. So, I mean, I'd say, that's not a probability, but there's a slight possibility there that maybe they put their trust in this person, and then it's like, just as we thought. Hello, Mira, I have them right here. Whatever. But okay, probably not. Probably not. Probably not.
You do seem to be heading for the Claire versus Mira showdown.
Sure.
I think that's in the works. What do we see? You know,
Although,
what do we see with the
she'd
Howard
have to
Emily?
get free in order to do that, right? I mean, or I guess she'd
Not
have
really.
to be charged with going to get her, capture her, I guess, right?
Right.
Because
Like
at this
in other
point-
words, maybe Mira would agree to meet with her or something.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
You know, like,
right.
You know, so they'll use her knowledge
Right.
to try to get closer to Mira.
Yeah, that's because I mean, responsibly, it should be like, no, we're putting you in a
Yeah,
box.
exactly.
He will talk to you.
Shadow just came
and
in from
ask
the
you
cold.
questions. Keep her in a refrigerator.
Yeah.
Not gonna let her thaw yet.
So, you know, I thought that perhaps, you know, the show obviously ostensibly is about Howards, that the two Howards are going to meet up and then we'll test Yannick's theory. It was kind of where I thought this might be going, and it still could be doing that. But one option might even be they close the crossing, they get stuck on opposite sides, and they just make do with it. And they're like, all right, well, I'm with this Emily, and you're with that Emily, and we found a way to make it. It seems weird. I don't know
Yeah,
that
it
was
does.
okay. But it's just the fact that their relationships with their others are starting to kind of take shape a little bit. I know she pointed a gun at him and told him to get out, but
Yeah, she did.
But she's also the same person that went to the other side and pretended to be someone else. I feel like you could probably talk her down and be like, yeah, I came here pretending to be Howard. I'm not. Just like you were pretending to be an Emily, you weren't on the other side. I don't know. I feel like it's not a. They could get past that, perhaps. Although also you know the Yannick's, as we see the end result of Yannick doing it, somebody kills somebody.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to happen here, though.
No, I don't think so either. But you know, who knows? I mean, technically,
hasn't it been forever since the Howards have been in their right universes?
yeah,
It's been like maybe middle of season 1
yeah,
since so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So obviously that moment when they probably across simultaneously, I don't know, maybe they'll meet in the crossing. It'd be like in no man's land.
yeah, who knows?
And you know, but that seems to be they don't at the moment have a reason to kill each other, I don't think. But you know how do we raise the stakes on that meeting? Like, is there a way that at some point they're going to be? We're not going to be sure. Is there ever? Do you think there's any moment we're going to be like, I wonder if Howard Prime's going to try to take out Howard Alpha and take over his life? I don't feel like that's a thing now.
No.
That's what Yannick would suggest.
Yeah.
But I don't see that yet. Is there a way that somehow comes about, or the show pushes us in that direction to make us think that might happen?
I mean,
I'm just trying to think of what the payoff is of them meeting up and not killing each other. I think that's kind of what.
well, I mean, one of the interesting things about I'm trying to think it out about Howard Alpha is he's capitulating. He doesn't have any plan at all other than getting back to his world, right?
Right.
And so he's willing to submit to,
whatever directives management has
right?
for him.
And so, I presume what happens from there is that they contact the other side and say, "Hey, you've got the other other Howard that they don't know that they have, right?" And so then it becomes important for them to find them. So from that point, having them talk to each other, I'm not sure is, in terms of their own relationship, is that important. I mean, they might, at this point, since they're at this stalemate, they actually had to take somebody from their side, from the Alpha side, and give them a message to pass. So maybe that's how they use
Because remember that great conversation they had where they were on each sides of the little window?
Yes.
And they were
right, and
talking to each other?
that was before the door is closed.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, something along those lines where it's like, because in that particular conversation, there was a lot of tension in their conversation, and
Right.
they were a little bit lot at odds.
Right, but the way that they established communication happens sort of like, here, take the message over.
Yeah.
We don't expect to see you back. You belong over there. So whether or not they utilize him in the same way is a question that I'm not sure about.
Okay.
From their perspective, now they're really only trying to stop something bad from happening other in the prime
In the Alpha
in the
world.
Alpha world.
Yeah.
So their motivations aren't, I'm not sure what their motivations are in terms of wanting to get it done, other than, trying to get the doors opened up again.
Yeah. So we've got a situation where we got 2 episodes, maybe only 2 episodes left in the series. Was Justin Marks prescient enough to try to get like maybe a nice, satisfying conclusion?
Right.
After thinking that maybe there might not be a season 3.
Yeah,
who knows? So it appears. If I had to guess, I would guess that Claire kills Mira as a way of stopping what's about to happen. Whether Mira takes out management first, I don't know. I think that Howards will go into their correct worlds and then try to deal with the fallout of living in a life that is now completely different for them based on with their relationships with their significant others, with their Emilys. That would be interesting. In fact, that could be a season where you start seeing like, oh, we're back, yay! Next season would be, how do we deal with what we've learned? Like that would be kind of an interesting groundwork for another season. But yeah, so there we go. I think that's where we are at the moment. I did see there was the ad in the Super Bowl for Twilight Zone.
Yes.
Jordan Peele's, is he hosting, writing? I don't know what his connection to it is. But
he's certainly he's the producer of it,
okay.
But he's also Rod Serling it.
Right. So that sounds like something that could be a Dork Lords topic,
perhaps,
starting April 1st. But more to come. We'll talk Discovery as well, and Lord of the Rings. So bye, everybody.